Okay, hello everyone. So this is my attempt to make an unscripted video about what was been going on here in our company in terms of production and development over the last 2 months. Completely unscripted except for these first few sentences, so get ready for a lot of bad English and jokes that don't work. Shout out to Chris from CNC Labs, who also watches my videos, where I kind of borrowed this idea from. But since we're about 20 times smaller than his company, I will only make these updates like every 2 months. So let's get started. Let's start with block 4-5 CNC mills. For all the peoples that follow us on our Instagram, they probably know that we have received the material for the first 32 machines. This is 16 times block 4 and 16 times block 5. We received like 80% of the material that we need 5 months ago. And we sold some machines and we promised that we can ship them like in December. But we had some delays, mainly with the cast iron frames and the flight cases. And good thing is, we received those like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we have now all material here that we need to build them. Yeah, we needed like 3 weeks only to unpack all the frames and the flight cases and put on the wheels and stuff. Yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of material. It needed a lot of space in here. Yes. Then we also are still building the machines. We start with building 8 block 5s, and then we build 8 block 4s, and then again 8 block 5s and 8 block 4s again. We are now in the process of building the 8 block 5s, and it goes very well. Everything is as expected, and the first 8 machines are now like 50% finished. Maybe we can show you some footage from measuring the frames, because building cast iron CNC machines that need to reach certain tolerances, it's not as easy as you maybe think, because building is only half of the process and needs half of the time. The other half is only measuring, shimming, measuring again, and measuring all axes to each other, perpendicular and whatever. I can also show you here our tolerance measuring sheet that I prepared, where you see all the tolerances that have to be met after the machine is fully built. But we need to, of course, always check the tolerances again and again and again while building. So it's quite a complicated process. Yes, then we also received the stickers, all the warning stickers. I made the warning stickers that were missing. One very important one is a very big one on the underside of the case that says that if you put the machine on the case, it's not meant to be rolled again. It has wheels, but you can screw them up, and then it's standing on a fixed position on feet, not on wheels. And this, it's meant that you unpack the machine from the flight case, and then you put the flight case cover back on, and then you screw up the wheels on the place where you want to place the machine, and then you put on the machine. Yes, and then you never move it again with the machine on, because the wheels are slightly offset from the feet. And if you roll it like back, there's a small risk of tipping over. And we don't want that, so we want to tell you, don't move the machine on its case with the wheels. That's why we have the warning sticker. Yes. Yes, that was one of the problems we had. Mainly for the block 4, we saw the wheels are too narrow mounted. So we have now ordered additional wood plates, and we will mill them on the Rui to put the wheels further outside. more or less fully on the edges of the case. Then it's absolutely no problem again with tipping over. The Block 5, if it's fully built with enclosure and all, is like 200 kilograms. And 200 kilograms on a flight case is a little bit on the maximum side that's possible. So at least for the Block 5, we will also give with you, if you order one, an internal frame of the flight case. So it's 4 extruded aluminium extrusions and 2 aluminium plates that need to be screwed together by the customer. It's only 8 screws. And you remove the machine, screw this frame together, put this frame inside the flight case, put the top back on, and now it's internally stabilized. So there is absolutely no risk of any like bending or whatever of the flight case for the Block 5. Yes, then we had a little error on one of the parts of the new cover of the X-axis of the Block 4 and Block 5. It's the nut holder of the ball screw of the X-axis of the Block 4 and Block 5. Because on the new versions of the X-axis, the lower linear rail is preloaded against an edge. And on the prototype, it was not really, it had no way of putting a force on the edge. And now we have these countersunk screws and these small shafts that press against the linear rail against the edge. And with this new way of mounting the linear rails, we need a little bit more space under there. And I forgot about this and ordered like 40 pieces of this ball screw nut holder. And yeah, we had to mill a little slot, but it's perfectly. We have the Block 4 prototype here, and the Block 4 prototype has no problems with milling steel. I just made a small program, as you can see here, and it takes like 15 seconds or so per part. So it's very easy to redo these parts. Yeah. Then we had a customer, he wanted to measure resonances on the Block 4 that we have here. The German word is Nachgiebigkeitsfrequenzgänge. Don't ask me about the English word. In theory, you can measure in which frequencies the machine deflects how much. So which frequencies are the best to mill something. And he did that. Maybe I can show some video or photos or so on. And I can also show you now some of the charts that came out of it, the diagrams. And in the end, we could see that the machine performs the best at like 370 to I think up to 570 hertz, which is at which it has under 0.1 micronewton deflection at 1 Newton pressure or force. Yes, which means it performs the best at like 55,000 to 6,000 RPM with a 4-tooth end mill. So a very common scenario for steel with the steel spindle that goes up to 6,000 RPM. Yes, it's a good. I think it's a good. Yeah, I think it was a good measurement, and it showed that the machine is very rigid for its size or for its price point. Yes. Then we had a customer that came here from Bremen, North Germany, and he wanted to test titanium milling on the Block 4 that we have here, the prototype. And both of us never did real titanium milling of a real block. I only did like a real plate, a thick plate, like 10 millimeters. I only know from thin sheet titanium. So we just tested it with a 3-tooth end mill, and with some random feeds and speeds we searched on the internet, and it worked exceptionally well, titanium. And yeah, I can show you some pictures of the part here. And yeah, he ordered one. Yes, then we had many customers from everywhere. Some people even flew in just to check out the Block 4 that we have here, the prototype. We have a lot of pre-orders of the first 32 machines. I think like at least half of them are sold, if not more. I have the number not in my head, yes. Then we changed the software that runs on the Block 4, 5, Rui and all the other machines from G-Sender to NC-Sender, because now we cooperate with the creator of NC-Sender, Francis, and work together to bring new features and new a better user experience for you, yes. NC-Sender is much more optimized for my machines. It has a lot more features, and we can also bring in new features exactly for my machines, tailored for my machines. It has stuff like 3D probing inside holes and outside of the part to find the exact center. It has tool table, so you can have a real tool list. It has plugins that bring new features in. It has already like plugins for carpenters and other woodworkers, and it will also in the future get a plugin for ATC, for our ATC spindle. And we also like implemented as a new feature our safety door feature. So you can, if you open the door, you can still run the machine at the lower feed rate with maximum 1 meters per minute if the door is open. So you can probe and all, and the spindle is blocked with 2 channels, so it's 100% safe that it will not run when the door is open, but you can still run the access, so you can do probing and stuff. Yes, and also, yeah, for all the other stuff. Then, new features. One special thing is that we will not use the standard NC-Sender. We will get a special version which is named NC-Sender Pro, and it's licensed, and it also costs us money, which is of course included in the machine price. And the best part about it is that it will be fully standalone. So there is not the program running on Linux or the program running on Windows. It will run as itself. It is its own operating system on our machines. So if you start the machine, it doesn't start in Linux and then it starts the program. The program itself is the whole thing that is running. So it's much more professional, like a real CNC controller. Then MPG development. I also work with him together in a cooperation for an MPG. Probably a wireless MPG. First, it will be available wired and wireless. And he will do all the firmware and software development, and I do all the mechanical design, the sourcing, the PCB design, the electrical design, all the other stuff, and he will do, yeah, software and firmware. I can show it here. It's a prototype out of 3D printed plastic, and yeah, I already broke the screen. It was my fault with a screwdriver. Yes, and it will of course be aluminium milled. There will be no 3D printed parts on the retail version. Yes, let's look in the future of the block machines. Block 5 Pro. We will build only the Block 5 in a Pro version. So it will get a 120 kilogram under tray or under table where it stands on instead of the flight case, which has 2 drawers. The lower drawer has all the flood cooling and the minimum quantity lubrication and other stuff inside, and the top is free for the customer to put on his vices and all the other accessories. And it has a very big control cabinet. So it's not built like they are built now, where all the electronic is inside the machine. The machine is just a machine and all the electronic is in the electric cabinet, and it's built like a professional machine. It will not be built like a hobby machine. with all the bells and whistles that you need for a professional machine, like all the safety integration, performance level, blah blah. On the same machine of the Block 5 Pro, we will also implement Heidenhain, and their newest controller, the TNC7 Basic, will be implemented in this machine. This machine should be then a perfect machine for schools and for prototyping and stuff, especially with the Heidenhain, because we want to have the cheapest machine with Heidenhain integration by far. Like the next machine, the currently cheapest machine with Heidenhain TNC7 Basic is like 120k euros. And this we want to sell like for 32k francs, so it's 35k euros, I'm not sure. So it will be by far the cheapest. And it's much more practical for school use because it fits through standard doors, you can roll it around. And it only works on single phase. I mean, it works on single phase. So we don't need three-phase power. Schools can now decide if they want to have one machine for 120k or 3 or 4 of my machines for the same money. I think it's much more practical for schools to have 3 or 4 machines, so more students can work at the same time or learn at the same time on these machines, which is much better. We had Heidenhain, I wrote with Heidenhain in the last 3 to 4 months, and we also implemented everything. Everything is absolutely finished. The whole design is finished. Everything is finished. The implementation, how we want to do it, everything is finished. We had Heidenhain here. We can show some pictures. They brought their absolute maximum build version of the TNC7 with, I think, 24-inch screen and whatever. And we will implement the 16-inch screen, yes. Yes. This is about Heidenhain, and we have now ordered all the parts. This has nothing to do with the Block 5 5s that are here. We have ordered the parts for the first, I think 8 machines. So we will build 8 Block 5 Pros in the first series, in the first batch. Yes. Yes, we will build 8 machines of the Block 5 Pros. We will see how many with Heidenhain control and how many with our Dominator Pro control. For the Block 5 Pro, it will also get a much bigger screen with our controller. It will be 21-inch screen instead of the 16-inch that we normally use. Yes, and we also in the same time ordered 4 Block 5 normal ones again, and a lot more enclosures and whatever. Sheet metal, I mean, for enclosures, because we already run low on enclosures. So many customers order the full enclosure with the safety switches and all. Yes. With the Heidenhain, they will also then work with rigid tapping. Because we have our controller is prepared for rigid tapping. We have the input for the encoder, and we have to make the encoder especially for the servo driver of the 1 kilowatt steel spindle. So it is an easy plug and play cable with 4 pins. And the only thing that doesn't support rigid tapping yet is the Gerbil hull firmware. So as soon as the Gerbil hull firmware supports rigid tapping, we can implement rigid tapping. Yes. That was it about the block machines. So next to the Rui Mark1. Not much has happened about the Rui Mark1. We have not a lot. We have some pre-orders. We are very happy with pre-orders that we have currently in. We are now waiting for the material, which should arrive in around 3 to 4 weeks, I hope. And then we can start building them. The first batch will be 30 machines, 20 in the standard size and 10 in the extended Y-axis size. Yes. Then to the Rui Core. We have finished building the prototype of the Rui Mark1 and it looks exceptionally well. I like it a lot. It will be the most beautiful machine in this price class, I think, by far. Yes, it is very rigid, and I can show you now some pictures, probably. And we also built the controller now with the fully new cables that we especially manufactured or ordered for the Rui and all our machines with the steppers and servos with internal drivers. Because we have all our controllers, or our Dominator controller has symmetrical drivers for all the control signals. So we need to have twisted wire pairs for step, direction and alarm, not really, but also power supply cables. So power supply cables need to be thicker and not twisted, and the signal cables need to be twisted pairs, but thinner. To not waste space with very thick cables, we ordered custom-made high flex cables which are shielded, which are, I think, 2 times 0.75, 3 times 2 times 0.25 millimeters in millimeters square, yes, which are very nice cables, and they look very, very good for the Rui Core. Yes, as the first test, we milled some aluminium. We milled the same plate we also milled on the Rui Mark1. It's a distro plate for computer water cooling, but it has no real use. It was only a demo piece, and it worked well, I would say. It's not as good as the Rui Mark1 because it's not as stiff, but for what it is, it worked very well in aluminium. The whole part took like 30 minutes total, and it looks good. Yes. Then to the Torque 8, which is our upcoming CNC lathe. We have all the parts for the first 3 machines are on their way, and we also receive them in 3 to 4 weeks. Then to the XM9, which is our professional VMC, our first real VMC machine. It's a little almost the same size as a Tormach, or it's not almost, it's bigger than a Tormach 1100 MX. A little bit, only a little bit. Yes, and we also, previously we didn't know which controller we want to use with the XM9, because our Dominator controller is a little bit underpowered, has not enough features for a real VMC. But now with our cooperation with Heidenhain, I think we will just always build the XM9s with the Heidenhain TNC7 Basic. We implemented it or integrated it in its enclosure design, and it looks very good. Yeah, and we will build that with the Heidenhain controller. All the parts for the first 3 machines are also on their way, and we will also receive them in like 3 to 4 weeks. Yes, then ATC spindles. We received ATC spindles, the standard type for which we will use in our block 4, 5 and Rui Mark1. And I can show them here. They look very nice, and we will now, in the next step, start with the development of the plugin for ATC, for this ATC spindle, and then we will look from there. Then QTC spindles, so quick tool change spindles. We also had a customer who wanted them, so we looked with the manufacturers that are out there for QTC spindles, like Technomotor and Spinergy, and we found one that is perfect in size, and it's from Technomotor, and it has like, I think, HSK25 tool interface. And yeah, this will probably not have much customers, I think, but we ordered parts for like 3 spindles for the block 4-5 implementation. And yeah, that's that about QTC spindles. Then crimping machine, we received a cool little crimping machine for JSTXH contacts, which are horrible to crimp by hand. It takes 1 minute or so because it's so small and finicky. And yeah, now we have a crimping machine for that, because our controller, Dominator controller, almost only has JSTXH connectors. And it's because not they are the best connector in the world, it's because we don't have space on the PCB. The PCB fits exactly, it has like 0.5 millimeter space above and below. It fits exactly in our Block 4 control cabinet. So we have to use the smallest connectors we can find for this application. Then we have a press brake we also received, I think 2 months ago, which is a 30-ton press brake. We haven't used it much, but we will of course use it much more in the future, because now with our 1.5 kilowatt fiber laser and our band deburring machine for the sheet metal parts and the press brake, we have almost the whole assembly line for sheet metal parts here in-house. So in the future we will produce much more sheet metal parts in-house here in Switzerland. Yes, and are less dependent on external suppliers. Yes, I think that was about it. As you can see, there was a lot going on, and I guess we will see you again with the same video here in 2 months. Yes. Bye bye.